So this week we have Rhino and me. That's it. Um, so we're gonna keep it short and sweet. We're gonna talk about Thick Boy Calus. Um, do you want to just get us started with it, Rhino?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, the odd thing about Calus is like we were talking about before the show started briefly is he seems to be our friend but also an enemy
Mm,
is the most enigmatic part about him or
mm,
feature about that character. I don't know if that necessarily means that we're being uh, set up in a way, but it
mm.
is it is different as far as the other enemy combatants that we've faced so far.
I feel like he's a really interesting character because we get the Drifter introduced. So like to go all the way as far back as we can, where we like truly got characters introduced to the story. Like the first one was Eris, right? In the
Yeah.
Dark Below, and it's like here comes this hunter warlock. No one was really sure. She's a hunter, and she's kind of telling the story about the hive and everything, and we're just like, all right, cool. But like there was always that feeling of ulterior motives to it, to the extent that in the Taken King, when she was saying, "It's done, my queen, the Guardian did it," blah blah blah. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, Eris is
Right.
evil. Eris is working for the Hive," and like everyone was like so sure that Eris was like playing us that whole time. And we move on to
Right. So
Varix.
there was always in the back of our mind that is she really allied with us or is she
Mm-hmm.
working towards some nefarious goal?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't really let her into the tower at first, too. Remember, she used to hang out just
Yeah,
on the side of the wall with her ship floating forever.
they're like, "You creep us out. Stay outside."
And she was just a story before we even learned anything
Mm-hmm.
in great detail. And so
Mm-hmm.
until she arrived at the tower, we started learning what is this story about the people that went into Hellmouth.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really have a full scope view of what the Hive were. We just kind of assumed that they were somewhat, space zombies of some sort.
Mm. I remember reading super old theories that the Hive were what the Fallen became, and then the
Oh
Hive
wow.
became advanced, and they became the Vex, and the Cabal just were there. It's like, like I don't know. Someone was trying really hard to make that
It's such a
to make
great
that theory work.
that's such a great window into how much things have changed over the years. I mean, when
Mm,
we first started Destiny, we had literally zero information about what was going on, and now we have just it seems like a flood of lore
mm.
with each update. It's more and more. So I really applaud that. It's great, but sometimes it is overwhelming, and it doesn't necessarily make it that much easier because they just bring up more questions. But
Mm.
I am grateful for it.
It feels kind of appropriate because it's like, when we're just starting out, it's like I literally know nothing. And now it's like we are veterans. We know exactly what we're fighting.
Right, right.
But
And it's just enough meat on the bone to make us question everything we're thinking.
yeah, still enough to make us not sure.
Yeah.
But
As far as Calus goes, though, I mean the I think the Cabal are probably still one of the most uh, I can't even say the word this morning. Excuse me, everyone. They're just a huge enigma. We don't know a lot about their race. I mean, we do know the story about the Cabal. We know about how Scions are basically enslaved into to
yeah,
doing the Cabal's army's business. But as far as the Cabal altogether, we still haven't explored what their origin story is. I mean, well, with the exception of a few little stories that we
hmm,
got.
yeah, it's only a piece of their history, and it definitely feels like we are missing a large chunk of their history.
Yeah, a big boy chunk.
But like as I was saying, we kind of got Eris, and she always no one really ever felt okay with Eris. And then we got Varix, and people loved Varix. People were like, "Oh my God, Varix, he's so cool," but still kind of like people were a little uneasy about him. People were like, "Oh, he's trying to become the Kell of Kells. He's gonna betray us. He's gonna do this." And I guess ultimately, I was always one that was like, "No, he's on our side. He will never become the Kell of Kells. That's not his game." And I
Yeah.
mean, I guess ultimately I was wrong because like that's what he ended up doing. But like
Yeah.
he explicitly said he was not going for Kell of Kells. So like screw you
Well, I
guys.
was with you. I was with you when I was thinking the same thing. I mean, I think a lot of us were. We
Mm,
kind of believed that, you know. We thought, well, if he's allied and he's trusted enough by the queen and lives in the Wreath or
mm-hmm.
is able to be in the Wreath, then that obviously means he's trustworthy enough for
Yeah.
us to believe what he's saying. I don't know if he's necessarily doing all of this on his own or if maybe there's some manipulation behind the scenes that we haven't uncovered yet. But
That'd be scary
uh,
to think that Varix is actually being manipulated and to be doing his House of Judgment thing.
yeah, which was one of the recent theories that came out maybe I don't know 4 or 5 months ago,
Mm.
where they thought that maybe Varix is being led by some of the reallied houses of the fallen. I
Mm.
don't know. I think it's interesting to explore that, but man, it just we don't have any information to support it. All we know is the recent storylines that we've had. Crazy servitor at the end of those strike, that strike, and
Yeah, the
I
warden.
mean
Yeah.
that's yeah, and there's not a whole lot to go off other than the little things in lore that are just
Mm.
very ambiguous.
But so with every character, every NPC type character that we get introduced to the game, everyone's kind of a little uneasy about them. But when it comes to Calus, I mean, people are still uneasy about him, but he's really the first person that I feel is just being straightforward with us. He's like, I kind of came here to destroy your planets, but I like you. He's just being honest about it. He's not like, oh, I was just strolling through and look at you guys. I didn't know there were
Yeah.
humans here. I'm sorry. He's just like, no, I was coming to kill you all, but you proved yourself to me. So now I love you. And he's the like, what is up with that though? Like we got
Yeah.
Calus saying that he loves us. We got Shax offering his hand in marriage. Like we're about to get relationships and destiny. Like that's gonna be some crazy shit.
Yeah, Callus's love is really strange though. I mean,
Mm.
he has like this great love for our what we are, not necessarily who we are, but what we
Mm.
are to. What he sees, I'm not sure that he really sees us as anything other than something that he wants
Mm.
to be. In certain regards, like he wants what we have attained.
Mm-hmm.
So he loves us in that regard. It's almost like he thinks of himself as this great God that is allowing himself to spread his love upon his would-be followers if he can convert us to
But
his will.
that is weird because I agree with you. He loves us for what we are, but at the same time, he's always like, "Oh, your light is so weak. Like I've seen true power. Come talk to me if you want true power, but your light is pathetic. But also, like you're amazing."
Yeah, I can't help but wonder if he just sees us as this potential. It's just as he sees us as a potential entity that he he greatly wants to. I mean, he obviously wants to mold us into
Mm.
what his idea of true power would be. He sees us squandering our abilities in his
Yeah.
eyes. I'm imagining. That's how I imagine his the way he looks at us.
Yeah, like I guess like the Fulminator and what was it, Janus, Jarus, the
Yeah,
Sindhu, like all the original shadows of Calus were like not that great. They were just the most skilled. So he's kind of just picking the best. And even if they
yeah.
aren't the best in the universe, they're the best of their own.
Yeah,
So,
so if the listeners are out there wondering what are the shadows, they're basically,
yeah.
um, well, you could explain it real quick, I'm sure.
Oh, I mean, no, you got it. You got it. I was just saying like,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
well,
good idea. Good idea. Explain that.
just a quick way of putting it out there. Basically, Callus has been running around the universe and he's grabbed onto the strongest and best of each race that he's encountered and basically wiped the slate clean of everybody that they
Hmm.
uh, you know, it'd be like him coming to our solar system, killing everything, but saving you because all he wants is you for his army, and he's kind of done that everywhere he's gone.
Mm.
So he's explored all these places and he's encountered all these races, and he has turned them into his shadows. And along the way, we learned some pretty cool things and stories behind those guys. But so that raises the question that we all kind of have, and especially when we're fighting him in the raid. If he wants to test our strength and have us grow fat from it or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, it are we are we his are we just another stepping stone in his master plan, or are we, there's a few questions. So I
Mm-hmm.
would say, one, are we just a stepping stone in his master plan? Two, is he trying to rebuild another group of shadows and we're just, one of them? Or
Mm-hmm.
three, is this all a big hoax?
Well, see, that's what I mean. I don't think it is a hoax. Like, I think he's the most honest frenemy we have. Like,
Frenemy, that's a good one. Yeah.
he's very straightforward with it. I mean, I'm not saying he's not sneaking around sometimes, but he's very like upfront about what he's here for and what he's doing. Like, he's like, yeah, your light is weak. Come talk to me if you want better. And then like in Eater of Worlds, it was bugged, but it was supposed to be if you'd done Leviathan and then you went to do Eater of Worlds, he's supposed to say different things, and it was bugged, and
Yeah.
it only said, "I've never seen this Guardian, but let's see what he can do." And it's kind of like, so he's been entrusting us with helping him, and it's just kind of like I kind of lost where I was going with that.
No, 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 I get it though. Yeah, he kind of wants to I guess he wants, as we progress in his battles and we prove ourselves, he's
Yeah,
gaining confidence that we are in
yeah,
fact on his side. Like we every time we go in there and we meet his challenges, he does feel a little bit more comfortable with us.
yeah. Because
You
it.
know, a lot of people don't even realize there were two sets of armor still when we first started
What do
that
you
had
mean?
different flavor text. We had the regular raid armor, and then we had uh, the fancier raid armor,
Mm-hmm.
which had a different set of flavor text.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so those things changed over time.
Yeah, like his love was not an immediate thing. His love, I think he was saying that he loved us after the Val Kaur one, the Spire of Stars boss, the third raid within the Leviathan, the second raid layer. Um, but that's what I mean though. Like it really feels like he let us sink or swim, and we swam, and he's impressed with us, and he's on board with us, and he wants us. And so the question then becomes, what does he want us for? Because like Dancing Viru points out, he doesn't believe anyone can prevent the end, so he's just letting us enjoy his company until the end is here. But if that was true,
Right.
why is he building like the best warriors? Like it almost feels like he is trying
He
to fight it.
Yeah, and it's strange because one of the reasons why I made this sword and why I love it so much is Trader's Fate. Like for instance, the little snippet of lore we got where he kind of talks about, or it's alluded to that he's talking about um, a big boy Gaul
Uh huh.
and what happened with the story that they had there. When we first started Destiny 2, we learned about the Red War and the Cabal were invading Earth, and they locked up the Traveler,
Mm-hmm.
and he wanted the light for himself. But out there in the distance, Calus was following him. But he was ultimately betrayed by Gaul, I guess, if you want to say that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
one of his little notes to him was found in Trader's Fate when he talks about, know that I am Calus, the last and greatest emperor of the Cabal. Know that the Ghost Primus was false,
Mm-hmm.
and that your place in my court was secured when he met his Trader's Fate, basically. And he says, finally, my champion, little else stands between us. And at the end, he says, together we shall rebuild an empire. So
Mm-hmm.
he's very much talking to you in this, and he wants you to know. Like in the middle, he says, look to the heavens, and you will see me with my arms spread wide. Fly to me, and I will bathe you in gold. Share the fruits of my gardens, and watch you grow dizzy on
That
libations.
that's his statue though, isn't it? Like the big statue. He's got his
Yeah,
arms out. That's cool.
yeah.
That's a
So
nice
he's very
touch.
much giving you like a hint into what to do when you
Mm-hmm.
get there. And it was kind of striking to know that there was this entity that very much views himself as a god, and he
Yeah.
almost speaks to you as if not like, I mean, he speaks to you as if he would be a preacher at a pulpit talking about a god, but instead he is the god talking to you about himself as the god.
Yeah. No, he very much talks like he's a god, and he like I think that was one of the things that he mentioned when Gaul overthrew him. Gaul couldn't just kill him and be like, "I'm emperor now," because he was so beloved. So he had to put him on the Leviathan, and I'm assuming it kind of came off as almost like a religious tactic, where it's like God has to go sail. Look at that, there he goes. Now I'm the governor
Yeah,
or the
I'm the captain now.
God damn it, what's it called? The G the g emperor. That doesn't start with a G. No, I'm having a rough morning.
It's all right. It's on the tip of your tongue. I can feel it.
Yeah. Well, I said it. It was emperor.
Yeah, the
Um.
great emperor.
Yeah, the great emperor. There you go. That's what I was trying to say. I'm totally on top of everything.
See?
But so then, Viru mentions again that he wanted to be the last one standing. So maybe his army is just kind of like he doesn't care that he's gonna die. He just wants to be the very last one to die. So he'll have an army in place to protect him, and so
Right.
on. That's an
Yeah,
interesting point.
and that would be that would be another strange thing too. If he is ultimately just wanting to build an empire so that he can be the last entity to witness the very great uh, final frontier against the darkness or whatever he thinks is out there, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever he's going to witness. It's like he very much wants to. It's like he wants to see the end before everything is done, and he wants to witness it and visually see it for himself, because I guess to him that's the greatest reward, is
Mm-hmm.
being able to outlast and outplay and out survive every other living thing in the universe. And uh, as long as he can do that, he'll bring along anybody who help him succeed in
Mm-hmm.
that regard. I guess if you look at it that way,
So
it's
then
almost like
so then Calus mentions how he went out into space. He went to the edge of the universe and he found like a true power, and everyone immediately tried to just like tag on. He found the darkness and he saw the darkness, and he's got darkness powers, and that's what his little shadow realm thing is. That's a power of the darkness. But that's actually a psionic projection realm. That has nothing to do with the darkness. That has to do with the scions. And
hmm
so he also mentions how his power is above both the light and the dark. So it's like whatever he did find, it was neither light nor dark, and it was something that he's considering greater than light and dark. Lately we've been getting a lot of a second collapse is coming, the darkness is coming back, stuff like that.
hmm
But ultimately, if the second collapse is coming, is that what Calus is saying is coming? Like the darkness? Because he just said that his power is greater than the darkness. So his power should be able to defeat the darkness. So then,
or at least somewhat survive it, I guess. I mean,
yeah.
if he thinks that he has, if he's a, if he has learned the vulnerability or the way to overcome, the great, it's funny. You just brought it up, but it's funny. We get a lot of lore items that kind of support this idea that a new darkness is going to wash over us, and another great um, event is going
Yeah.
to happen
Yeah.
eventually, and that Callus is kind of saying, yeah, but I can last, I can figure it out. I've got something in my back pocket that'll keep us from, or
Mm-hmm.
keep me from dying in any way. Like for instance, even when the Drifter talks about it a little bit,
Yeah.
it's like as if he knows some stuff is going out there. Like for instance, the Diluvian Sparrow, which very much is just a kind of a call to a great flood. Like for instance, imagine a great flood washing over the earth
Mm-hmm.
and wiping the slate clean, and then out of that, little things pop up and emerge again, and now you're pure. It's like this idea that the darkness somehow washes away everything,
Mm-hmm.
and then here comes back the light in its purest form to start over
Mm.
every time.
Well,
So I don't
specifically,
know.
the drifter specifically is running from a second collapse, and he's building his little bunker in the Nine Realms to survive it. But if like that's kind of my issue though. So let's like lock in a second collapse led by the darkness is coming. But Calus
Okay.
says he's above the darkness, so he shouldn't be worried about the second collapse, which means something greater than the second collapse is coming.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, I guess if I had to like just throw a random theory just based off of this, I would say like we're gonna either stop or mostly stop the second collapse. We're gonna fight it and we're gonna mostly beat it back. We're gonna be prepared for it. But what Calus is talking about is not the pyramids. It's not the second collapse. He's talking about something greater than that. And that's where
Right.
Destiny is going to go. They're going to kind of wrap up its initial the darkness is chasing the traveler story to the greater the universe eater, like not just the darkness, but the big bad is actually going to come.
Yeah. And that was always kind of one of those things in the back of a lot of people's minds is whether or not if because you can have a couple outcomes at the end of everything. So you
Mm-hmm.
could have either they hit the reset button and we start over, or you can pull some timey wimey shenanigans,
Mm-hmm.
and then we just go back to square one, or ultimately you ascend to the next plane of existence, which would be wherever Callus really is, as far as what
Yeah.
what he's trying to talk
Yeah,
about.
where the hell is he? And
Oh no.
also, it's gross. The robots that we defeat, because like I guess it's like canonical that we destroy the robot, and that when we destroy the when we defeat Argos, because there's only one Argos, but when we defeat Argos and we go into the treasure room, we see less of the robots. So it's like Guardians are going there and destroying his robots.
Uh-huh.
Each
Yeah.
each of those robots, and there's I'll just like lowball an answer. There's like 50 robots. Each of those robots are huge, first of all, and they are
Yep.
draped in his literal skin. He's just
Yeah,
got
which is just
skin to
oh
go. Here you go. Like
yeah.
he might actually be a god.
Yeah. I mean, he could very much be just a huge, we don't even know what yet.
Yeah.
Or he's just, creating skin.
I mean, he's giving his followers his flesh. Like that sounds like a god thing that I've heard before.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean that
Just to
again
put
with
that out
the
there.
with the religious overtones,
Yeah.
or the belief it's just like here's my body.
Yeah. You're literally
Bathing.
like shooting you. That's gross though.
Right,
Cause
right.
like
It
then you
really
shoot
is.
it off him and it's like burning and shit. It's like that is disgusting.
That's funny. Okay, so if he's got these robots and
Mm-hmm.
he's draping them in skin, and we know that because when you defeat him the skin is off and you can see the frame underneath,
Mm-hmm.
why does it look so similar to the frames that we already know and encounter in the game, like in our tower? I mean,
I
if
don't
you
think it
look at
does.
the uh, I
It,
kind of do. I
I
can see
mean,
the models just the I mean, the tubular arms, the square heads, the under parts, they just look so much like
I don't think he
the
has a
frames we
square
already know
head.
of. Well, he's got the little, the eyes and the mouth are independent of themselves and they look like they're held on armatures. So when his skin blows off, if you look past the little eyes and the mouth, there's a frame underneath.
Hmm. Okay, so is that official artwork? I'm not sure if this is official artwork or not.
Hmm. I'm
So
just going off of like the raid, like the actual in-game stuff
yeah.
mechanically if you
So
look
like
at it.
to kind of describe it, his chest has like a big like rectangular cavity, and his arms have rings with like beams going down them. I'm just gonna um
Yeah. Throw that in chat or something.
yeah new tab. Just gonna put this right here for the viewers, so you can see here he's got this thing going on. Oh shit! It's always something. It's never easy. He's got this like little cage here. He's got the rings for his arms, his face with. I wonder if those are his actual teeth too. Is he like a shark? Is he just like ripping teeth out and just putting them
Like,
on this machine for each one? That'd be
oh
gross.
man. That is gross. Well, you got to think like whatever it is that's building the robots and draping his skin on his robot. I mean, it's not like he's individually sitting there somewhere stitching up skin. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess this Leviathan
I'd
is
imagine
kind of
someone else is.
yeah, something is, or maybe mechanically there's some sort of architecture or in the Leviathan that can build these things. I don't know. It's really weird.
Ultimately, though, I just don't see anything that is reminiscent of a frame in his exoskeleton here.
Well, I've got a picture somewhere. I can throw it at you. But
All
yeah,
right.
it's just weird. It's just weird. It to me, I guess that would just be me. But to me, it looks so much like underneath all of that,
Mm-hmm.
you can almost make out what would be like a really big fat frame.
But at some point, when you're just trying to make bipedal humanoid,
Yeah, I guess they got to
you
kind
know,
of follow some sort
there
of
it's
standard
it's
architecture.
it's a natural thing to occur similarity wise. Like if you look at like a dog skeleton and an other quadruped, they're probably kind of similar. You know, it's like, oh yeah, they got the spine going like this and the legs going like that. Like yeah, it's the same thing ultimately.
Yeah. Which makes you wonder. So, okay, if Calus is out there somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
what is running the Leviathan? Is it just its own little kind of engine that just keeps propelling itself forward on autopilot?
Well, I mean that's the thing. He's supposed to be like stuck. I mean, I don't know why he couldn't just leave the Leviathan at any point, but he's supposed to be on the Leviathan.
Yeah,
Maybe he is the Leviathan.
maybe he
Oh
is.
man, maybe
Ooh,
he is the Leviathan.
like Oryx is the dreadnought,
Well, Oryx wasn't the dreadnought.
or that dreadnought was of Oryx turned inside out, but not.
Oh, it's his throne world turned inside
Yeah,
out. Okay,
yeah.
that's different though. But like, man, that'd be crazy if the Leviathan was actually Calus. That'd be
Oh,
stupid. I don't like
that
it.
would be stupid. It's
Uh,
gonna be it.
it's probably gonna be something like that. That'd be so dumb. Because like he's literally grinding up planets and drinking them as wine, or his robots are drinking them as wine. Like that's what the Leviathan is already doing. It's eating the planets. It's consuming the
Yeah,
planets.
it's so strange because
Oh man, I hope that's not
there's so
it.
many Bungie games already that kind of depend on the idea of rampancy and robots
Hmm.
and ideas of AI has gone crazy basically
Mm-hmm.
and then you just kind of have another little peg out there that could potentially be a story of just at the base level of everything it's just machinery.
Mm. That'd be too
It's
much.
just crazy. Yeah. I mean, the Vex are already just so much machinery,
Mm-hmm.
just soulless, I don't care machinery.
Yeah.
I don't know. The black goo is kind of interesting too, that's what everything eats,
Yeah.
thrives on, is made of. As far as the whole Cabal race goes, Callus aside, Callus being the emperor and
Mm-hmm.
leading the Cabal. The Cabal themselves, which are described as morphs, and their life force is that black oily goo.
I thought
So
that
what
was that called their life force?
well, I mean, I guess not their life force,
I
but
heard it
it's
was
what they're made of.
like a pressure sealant because they need a higher gravity or something like that to exist. Like
Yeah,
their organs need more gravity on them or something like that, so they need like this like high intensity pressure suits.
yeah, that's right. Because in the very beginning, we learned that their suits are the way they are is to keep them from basically just
Yeah.
blopping everywhere.
Which explains how Calus can just be draping skin on his robots.
Yeah, that's a good
Because
thing
they're
too. That's
they're just gross skin sack monsters that are being pressure fitted into machine armor. Ugh,
yeah. Ugh.
this
So
is
what does Callus want? What does Callus want at the end of the day?
I don't know. I mean, like I think he wants to survive. At the very least, he's got a very nihilistic output on everything.
Uh-huh.
He's very much just like the universe is ending. I'm just getting drunk and having fun. Like There's no
Right.
point. There's no point in trying. There's no point in working. He's just gonna exist and do whatever the hell he wants. And I think that's kind of his, I guess, like over story, like the overarching story of him. It's just he does not care. He will survive or he will not survive, and I don't think he will. He doesn't think he will survive, but he doesn't care. Like at the end of the day, he just wants to. He just wants to live another day, more or
Hmm.
less.
Yeah. And so, and the other time when we were on chat, you were talking about how there was this idea that the Cabal are running around in fallen tech.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta find that still. I forgot to look that up.
Yeah.
That's stolen Elixir tech, which like
Yeah.
would kind of make sense that they're just going around destroying shit and eating shit. When I remember when I found that type of stuff, it was like, could the Cabal be the source of the whirlwind specifically? Like when we hear about the whirlwind, it's sky fell away, houses turned on each other, etc., etc. And it's like, could the whirlwind actually have been the Leviathan coming and like eating the fallen planet? And they're just like, oh my god, what the hell is going on? And there was Chelkis, the Kell of Stone, who stood before the Maw, which it's like it just
Mm.
sounds like it's the Leviathan.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the mall's a huge mouth.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Strange stuff.
All right. So this week, it's just Rhino and I. So we were just gonna do a kind of a short show, not a little shorter than our usual because we want everyone to be able to participate in the discussion about Calus and the different powers at B, and I feel like this is kind of a good spot to call it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we did good.
Yeah, I think so too. It sucks only having two of us though. I like having a huge back and forth with everyone. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
They're missed. Yeah. But they had, little other things going on. So we'll
I
just
think
let
Guardian
them.
just slept in. Yeah, he might be sick. He's gotta fucking let me know though. He's gotta be like, hey, I'm not feeling good like the night before, and I'll be like, all right, I'll make it work. It's fine. But so if if you missed the beginning of the show, or if you just want to find us, you can find us at Loose Canon Show on Twitter, at Loose Canon Show. It's spelled just like our name here on Twitter, same logo and all that. The pinned tweet has all our information. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Anchor, from Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, Google, all that stuff. Episodes usually go up a few days after because it takes a minute for me to edit. Busy schedule. So that's going to be our show this week. Our next episode will be on the 28th, 1 week after Easter, 2 weeks from now. And,
Yep. Which we'll have the revelry to talk about a little bit too. So that'll
oh,
be good.
yeah, that'll be fun. So I think with next week, Baxter will definitely be back on the 28th. Hopefully, Guardian will be back. That will be another two trials of the invitations of the nine, plus the other two that happened previously, like in between. So we'll have a whole string of trials of the invitations of the nine to talk about. We'll talk more about the various powers because that's a big topic we've been going on
Yeah,
recently.
and it's getting really interesting.
Yeah,
So who knows what's going to happen next?
I'm really excited for Penumbra because I think Calus will start to reveal more. Ultimately, Calus I think is going to reveal more about what he is, what he knows, where he's been, all that stuff. So that's what I'm really excited for.
Same here, man.
All right. So then we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Yeah. See you guys. Bye.